and welcome to another insightful episode of HR Voices. On this show, we gather opinions and insights from national and international HR leaders and leading HR solution providers on the topics shaping the HR landscape. We all know that employee engagement and rewards play a crucial role in driving better performances within the organization. By implementing a structured reward system that acknowledges employees' achievements and contributions, organizations can foster a positive work culture that encourages continuous improvement and innovation. Additionally, engaged employees are more likely to stay with the company, reducing turnover rates and saving on the recruitment costs. Technology is playing a very crucial role in this field, and organizations are using the most advanced platforms to have an engaged and motivated workforce. To discuss this and more, today we have with us the co founder and CEO of Advantage Club, Mr. Sourabh Deorah. Advantage Club is a global employee engagement platform with benefits like rewards, recognitions, flexible benefits, wellness, onboarding, perks, and communities on a single platform. Welcome on the show, Saurabh.
Thank you, Bilquis, for inviting me. And I think the podcast topic is very interesting overall, and the purpose is very good. Make the world more about aware more about HR practices is from HR leader and the HR tech solution providers like us.
It is our pleasure to have you here. Please tell us about Advantage Club and your journey, and why and how did you think about starting this work?
Sure. So AdvantageClub.ai in the current shape is a global platform which digitizes rewards, recognition, well-being initiatives for any organization. Our vision is to make workplaces happier and healthier. So this whole genesis started from our previous work experience. Both me and my co-founder, we both were working for a very large tech company in US. And we saw that there's disproportionate value in having employee engagement initiatives, which employee really feel are available for them. And that's why we have all heard about Facebook's Menlo Park, Google's Mountain View, Microsoft Redmond campuses, because they created an atmosphere where, as employees, people really feel that their worth is more than the work they are doing and the money they are being paid by the way the organization makes them feel. And that was the genesis of AdvantageClub.ai, where we thought that if an employee feels better, then they will be more productive. And from an HR angle, you'll be more retained. That's the eventually purpose that we identified. But our original thesis was just from the point that as an employee, I should feel happier at my work while I'm spending 70 to 80% of my active time in office. So organizations should do more to make my world more happier. And we realized that there was a gap. Like companies had very high intent to do things. They were also running some of these programs themselves. But of course, as an organization, your focus is to run your business, is to meet the core key areas of the business. While you have every good intent to run very engaging employee engagement initiative, but you are not able to give justified amount of time or utilize or build enough solutions to really solve that problem. And that's where third parties like us come into play, where we can solve this universally for all the organization. And we invest a lot in this entire space. And that's how the genesis of AdvantageClub.ai started.
Fantastic. I feel that employee engagement starts right at the time of recruitment and onboarding. So, what is your view that how and what steps can be taken for a seamless onboarding experience for the new joinees, and how to how to enhance the employee experiences even during onboarding process?
Sure. See, in my view, employee experience starts even the day till the time the candidate is not even applied, because the employer branding is what is the feeling when they're applying to an organization that matters. A lot of time people apply to an organization because they just know that they pay more. That doesn't sustain over the time. So when an employee is thinking about applying, From that point, your employee engagement starts playing a role, to the way you do interview process, to the day you deal with them in that entire courtship period between they have accepted the offer and they actually join, to the day they have joined, then till the time they leave the organization, and even at times beyond that. So it's very important that your employee EX is not an isolated journey in particular points of an employee's life cycle. It is from the day they work with your organization or interact with your organization, they learn about your organization, to the once you're an alumni of a company, you're forever an alumni. In my view, your company is also like college. It stays with you forever. Whatever company you work for, even if you have like spent at least a year for an organization, that stays
We
with you forever.
probably stay connected with our colleagues for the rest of our lives.
Exactly right. And that
Yeah,
stays your identity, and that also shapes you in a lot of ways, right? Depending on which organization you have worked for, what is
yeah,
the culture, that also shapes your behavior, which stays with you forever. So that's why engagement is a very important parameter. And you need to deal people right throughout the entire life cycle. Starting from the day they interact with you for the first time to the interact with you the last time. And in between, it's very important that you make them feel seen. I think that's
correct.
biggest problem in any organization, that people don't get their due credit. That's why something like recognition can play a very big role. You might have a very high performer whom you are giving the best sort of appraisal every year, but in between the year, they need to be told that they are doing well. And that is where a recognition solution can really play a role, and create a positive atmosphere within the organization, that people feel that someone is recognizing them for doing good work, and that motivates them to do more work, and also most importantly stay happy when they're coming to organization every day.
Great. So we also know that AI and technology has got into every aspect of our life. How do you feel that AI and machine learning has enhanced personalized employee recognition programs?
Sure, sure. So, like our name, we recently rebranded from Advantage Club to AdvantageClub.ai.
AI,
Advantage
yeah.
Club as a brand doesn't exist. We are only AdvantageClub.ai. So, we use AI in a lot of places. Our basic thesis of using AI is to make the interactions more human, more frequent, and more personalized, and make it more easy for the users. So, let me talk about some of the use cases. Like our basic thesis is that when you are giving a recognition to someone, it's very important that you say something about that person as well. Now, not everyone is verbose, not a, or people need support in assisted writing, and that's where Gen AI can play a big role, where they can help you design messages, craft messages better, while the essence of it will still come from you, but can just help you put it in words. Similarly, suppose there can be a scenario where you can drive more interactions among the employees and create more positive environment. Suppose you gave me an award at some point in my life, and today it's your work anniversary, and there's a possibility that I might miss it. But since the AI knows that there's an interaction in the past, which was a positive interaction, AI can nudge me that it's Bilquis' work anniversary. Why don't you wish her? She gave you an award maybe 3 weeks back. So still, it's just reminding me, but it's not reminding me about everyone. It is also adopting on the basis of what do I respond to, and what kind of people I respond to, so that it doesn't become too noisy. Because in a large organization, 1,000 people can have work anniversary on the same day who are not part of my team. So AI can help you navigate through all of that as well. And also, while redeeming, it can make it very easy. Suppose you've gotten certain points, now to redeem. Every marketplace today have thousands and thousands of options. You don't have to search anything. AI can personalize that for you. And I think next step for AI is something what we have also recently launched. Like, in fact, we're the world's first reward recognition agentic platform. So what agentic can do is that I can, it's like one of the pain point of giving award is that it's a process, right? I have to open a platform, I have to do click 6 places. Now you can just simply open a platform, say give award, and award will go for them. So it can be very easy to do that, which will further increase the number of people giving recognition, more redemption. So it just solves the whole ecosystem and make the positive interactions even more. So that's where we believe AI can play a big role. So essentially in saving time, personalizing, driving more engagement, creating a more positive work culture for people.
Great, fantastic. When we talk of AI and machine learning and technology, we also need to assess the effectiveness of the initiatives. So, what do you think is the role of data analytics in measuring the effectiveness of employee engagement initiatives, and how do you do it?
Yeah, yeah. So see, ultimately, the only thing which always tell you truth is data. Everything else can be perceptively driven, but data is data. It's
Yeah,
something you can't change. So every organization that we also work with, we really look at data very closely, that whether it is meeting the parameters that we typically set to. See, the most basic way of looking at any employee engagement activity is how many people are participating. So if you are, say, giving your reward points, then at least 85 to 90% people should redeem it. If it's a good platform, it will make it happen. Although surprisingly in our industry standards are 60%, but at AdvantageClub.ai, we hold it at 85-90%. That should be your redemption rate. Second, your entire budget that you allocate to managers should also be awarded further, and ideally not at the end of the quarter or end of the timeline, throughout the period. And that's a very important point. And again, I believe that's something that HR and the tech solution provider should co-own to really drive that engagement so that people go and actually redeem. These are platform or program related data, which are very critical. Now, to really enhance it, you can look at across BUs, across centers, identify the trend where it is working well, where it is not, and use that as a cross learning. But there's also a business metric led parameter that you should also measure. Like, we have done our own studies with more than 3 million people, where we have seen that people who are recognized, their retention rates are 55% better than the people who are not recognized. So it's a very powerful tool. Secondly, we have also seen that if someone is recognized by a manager and also by their peer, then their retention rate is almost 78% better than the people who have not recognized. So that's a very, very powerful direct monetary impact that you can drive at reward and recognition, because it's all well studied that if a good employee leaves, it's an 11-month salary replacement cost on an average, between what really cost to hire them, train them, get them up to the same pace. Not necessarily your first hire will work out. So there's an 11-month cost to replace anyone who is actually high performing in your organization, or even medium, above average, or average performing. So all of that cost can be further wind down if you just start recognizing your performance.
Great, that's fantastic. Also, when we are talking about data, one very important aspect is the ethical issues when we are dealing with data. What are the ethical implications of using technology to monitor employee performance when we are implementing these reward and recognition programs?
See, first of all, reward recognition happens in two ways, just to step back a little.
Yeah.
First is, of course, performance. But large part of reward recognition is also cultural reward and recognition, where someone does something well, which is not necessarily high number, but they complied, they showed the culture of your organization, or they showed some sign that they are doing well, and you encourage them by recognizing at that time. It's as good as good job, which doesn't need to only happen when you win $1 million contract, but can be just on smaller things, but meaningful things as well. So that's the basic thesis of reward recognition. In terms of data impact, you have to be ethical. You can't track anything and everything.
Yeah.
Everything has to be on the need to know basis. So as a
Hmm.
platform, if we are learning something about the process, then there has to be a logical reasoning to do that. And employees should also know in a way that this is happening, this data is being tracked or theirs. It cannot be something that you start capturing their PII and in a wrong way. Of course, your compliances don't allow it, like we are SOC 2 certified, ISO certified. All of that doesn't allow you anyways. But ethically also, it's principally wrong if you start tracking more than what you really need without the information of the person. And also, another important aspect is not to let anyone misuse it. Like, at times, it's also very important that the company doesn't get the raw data. That doesn't happen that much in reward and recognition, but even things like wellness. You don't want your employer to have all the data. Suppose I'm at the risk of diabetes. I don't want my organization to know that I'm at the risk of diabetes. And there are more personal setups, especially in the world where mental health has become so relevant. A lot of times the employees will only feel comfortable about using the solution when they know that organization is not listening to it, so that there's no future repercussion. So it's very important that those guardrails are in place and you do logical separation of all of this. And ultimately, an employee should have a power not to share their data as well if they don't want to share. And whatever the consequence of it is like, suppose they cannot use a program, then so be it. As long as they know it and it's their choice, then it is their choice.
Great. Another important aspect, because you mentioned it very briefly here about the employee wellness. So, how important do you think it is necessary to incorporate wellness and mental well-being when we are talking about employee engagement? And what are the new technologies available to the organizations when we are talking about employee engagement in terms of their mental well-being?
Yeah, I think wellness in general will probably become your mainstay of compensation. How much do you care about well-being of an employee might even trump the amount of money you pay them to a certain extent, because principally nobody will pay significantly more than anyone else in competition world, but how you make an employee feel about how much the company cares about the health can be the biggest differentiator for any organization in
True.
driving employee retention and also driving productivity, if I talk from an HR and the company point of view. And this is something world is already realizing. Today, I
Yeah.
don't think I met, like we also launched Advantage Wellness some time back. We've been in well-being space since 3 years. But I see a new wave. Like earlier in 21, there was a wave because everybody was afraid of COVID and there people were doing things. But now companies realize that this is one of the most important benefits that they can give. Of course, insurance is very important for your core insurance cover, which has been going on since a while. And after 2020, it's mandatory. But people are also realizing that they have to help employees stay healthy, both by giving them medical support to also drive preventive healthiness as well. So as a country at individual level, I think the awareness is still less that preventive health is very, very important. But companies have started understanding it very well that if I really want to build a good organization, and the biggest bottom line contributor can be if my employees are healthy and they are in the right mental space. And of course, everybody want to avoid any red event. So, because there's a huge repercussion of doing that, your company branding, everything gets very impacted. And there's a big human aspect to that as well, where as a leader, a lot of time you feel that you failed if something wrong happens. So companies are big on well-being, and we are seeing that as a trend. In fact, well-being is already 30% of our business, and we expect that to grow to almost 50% of the business. And in general, I would say, in terms of what companies can do, I think flex well-being as a concept is becoming very popular. Where, as an HR or as a medical officer, I don't decide what is right form of well-being for the person, and I
Hmm.
allow the employee to choose whether I need a medicine, whether I need a doctor consultation, or I need the gym, or maybe I need nurse for my parent. That is well-being for me because my parents are not well, and that is causing me mental stress. Or maybe I need my financial well-being to be in place. Of course, counselor support, all of that is important. And also, it's very important to educate people that it's okay to go to counselor. Like
Right.
I've had conversation with the employees, they say that, oh no, they're asking me to go to a mental therapist. Am I mad?
Hmm.
And it's very important to understand that if you have a heart problem, you go to a heart doctor. If you have a disproportionate high amount of stress or something's bothering you, go to a mental counselor. So it's
Yeah.
very important that you create a flex setup where, as an employee, I get to choose wherever I want to go, whether I need a gym membership, I need a yoga setup, whatever I need, it's my call. Because today's employee doesn't want to get restricted to a particular domain. And as an organization, if you are spending money on this, then rather empower your employee to do and figure it out himself. And also, it's very important that you bring all your well-being initiative under a single platform. Because another
Right.
problem in the well-being world today is that a lot of organizations are making very much honest efforts, but they are running 9 different initiatives in 9 different places. Now, if an employee is not going there to look for those, and the day you really have the need, that day you won't go and search that where it is in my some link inside my email, someone send me an email. Nobody's going to do that. So it's very important that you make it very easy for the employee, give them the flexibility, and then let them do whatever they want to do with the well-being, and you support through that journey.
Also, let us talk about when we are talking about the wellness and mental well-being, what is the role of networking and communities when it comes to employee engagement beyond their organizations? And what is
Yeah,
it that you are doing in that?
yeah, it's a very important aspect. Ultimately, human is a social animal, and that's why 2020 was a horrible year for a lot of people because we are all isolated
Yeah.
in the small worlds of our own. And even I think that was a year probably people had most amount of fights at home, everything. So it kind of proves that you have to go outside, you have to talk to more people. I don't think DNA wise, like we are always supposed to stand. Similarly, we are always supposed to talk to people as well. We are neither sedentary nor isolated species. So it's very important that you are able to create social group. So like first, let me tell you my example. The last organization I worked for, Microsoft in Redmond, we had bunch of groups. Like we had a hiking group, we had a poker club. I was active in all of those. When I was moving out of organization, I was actually more sad about getting out of those groups than really my job because anyways, I knew I was going to start, which was something I was very excited about. But I always felt that I'll miss all of this because that was my life
Absolutely.
outside of work with the same set
Yeah.
of people. So it becomes a big point if you can bring like-minded people in your organization together. And that's what we try to do for organizations today as well, where we have communities. We can create a hiking club, biking club, recipe club, to if the organization is very flexible, they can create cricket club. At the most wackiest, we have seen PUBG clubs as well. If organizations
Yeah.
that, yeah, maybe 2 years back when it was a rage. So we have seen people do that as well, and that allows people to find friends within the organization. And like if you really look at it, that creates more positive sentiment about the organization. And as an employee as well, like suppose I like playing table tennis, it's a two people sport. This not my friends might not be close to me, but organization people are around me, so maybe I can meet them with them outside the work and play with them, and that creates a special bond between your colleagues. And directly or indirectly, it's also a new bond getting created with your organization as well, because eventually they facilitated that. So it's very important that you bring communities together and use social as a wedge to really drive more habit, even on the well-being front. Like if I have to go to gym regularly, it's a lot more easier for me when I have a gym buddy, because then we both push each other and we both go. So similarly, it's very, and you can do it at a very large scale in the organization, because there's a homogeneity among people. They have common life goals, common interest, and that might not be there outside of work. Like there's a possibility that two friends grew differently in life, but in the career there are a lot of similar people and with similar interests. You can really connect them, also drive right behavior with them together, also create social clubs outside work.
Great. Now, quickly, Saurabh, tell me, where do you see HR technology taking the HR processes in the next 2 to 3 years?
I think we're already in a space where all your HR processes have moved to one or the other type. We strongly believe that agentic AI is the future of HR, where people will not have to do 20 clicks. Everything will become conversational and become very easy to find for people, whether it's information, whether it is some sort of action. We believe that is the future. And secondly, we believe HR tech is completely global now. And while companies are still transitioning, in next 2 3 years, that transition would happen. So a global agentic AI-led HR tech solution is the future of any part of the HR process, is what I would say.
Fantastic. Very, very insightful, Saurabh. Thank you so much for giving time to us today, and we will be in touch with you. Thank you
Sure.
so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Bilquis. Pleasure
Thank
to
you.
be
Bye
here.
bye.